Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new version of the podcast that was originally known as An Evening with IVRA. It's now known Insights with IVRA. I'm your host, Alex Goldschmidt, and I'm pleased to welcome along my first guest because this week is sign-ups week. Don't forget, you can sign up for all the respective leagues. So the Endurance Series, you got the GT, you got the Club Sports Series, and also the GT Series powered by Huizinga. And I'm pleased to welcome along IVRA's Casper de Kort with me. Casper, good to see you. We've got quite a lot to compact in the next half an hour for the folks at home. But firstly, just introduce yourself to everybody. Just tell everyone what your role is within IVRA, because I know that you also work for the 24-hour series esports championship that is also linked to IVRA.
That's true. Yes. My name is Casper de Kort. I am one of the founders of IVRA, and I work as race director on race days. And when we're not racing, I am one of the organizers. I'm mainly responsible for the sporting side, so for the regulations and for the admin side. So making sure everyone's registrations are going to be coming in over the next few weeks, making sure all of everyone's paints are going to be working. And I do similar things over at Creventic. I am, for those wondering who are watching along, I am at the Creventic offices today, hence the Audi suit behind me, if you can see it there.
I was going to say, nice
I don't have that in my room, no.
Nice bit of decor in the background there, Casper. But firstly, I think we have to talk about some news that was unveiled on June the 17th, that there is a continued long-term deal between the 24-hour series esports and IVRA, also with the welcome assistance of Florian Hasper and the team at Virtual Competition Organisation, providing increased support. And obviously, if this just shows that 24-hour esports series, which has already had pre-qualifying take place, so quite a few teams have been plugging the fact that they've gotten through to what's going to be a great 2022, 2023, 24-hour esports series esports championship. But it's great that it's the only promotion style tier within racing. How important was that to you guys at IVRA for that to happen and to continue with Florian Hasper and his team also providing that welcome support?
It's a really exciting thing to be able to start with this season, because it really gives teams something to work towards. We have the 3 series with IVRA, which already sort of on their own form a natural progression system, especially looking at the GT3s, where we had the GT Sprint series with the 3 different, divisions as they are now known, with Pro-Am, Am, and Pro. And then onto the Endurance series, where we still had the Pro-Am class and the Pro class. But for everything else, especially everything in the Club Sport series, sort of that was it. The 992 teams, the GT4 teams, TCR teams, they didn't really have anywhere to go apart from just do better next season. But now with that link up with the 24-hour series, of course, which came a little bit natural, as I like you said, I work for both series. We can now offer for GT3 a step beyond even the IVRA Endurance series into the 24-hour series esports, where pre-qualifying has happened this week. The competition is fierce in all classes, and same for the Club Sport series classes now. So it's the TCR teams, the GT4 teams, and the 992 teams. They have something to work towards. So we can now really have a team that starts, as maybe a group of friends who know each other online, who start racing and join in one of the lower classes in IVRA, and then slowly get better and have the goal of going into that 24-hour series esports. So it really connects the 2 series as a more of a bigger community. And I hope that now that we've had pre-qualifying in 24-hour series, that's something we also considered, that pre-qualifying is now complete. So now IVRA registration's open. So not only is there that progression from sort of low to high, shall I say, not technically not the right terms, but but that also now hopefully we'll see a bit the other direction, where teams who just missed out in 24-hour series have the opportunity now in IVRA to fight for an invite for the 23-24 season in 24-hour series esports. And also perhaps just find a new home in IVRA as well, because just racing in IVRA by itself is great fun too.
And it's also ultra competitive. I mean, for those wondering, if you haven't already, you can go to ivoryleague.com for all the relevant information. Some of the stuff that we're actually talking about right now is on that website, which also includes the dates for the 2022-2023 calendar, which we'll get to in just a few moments. We'll also get to some of the changes in terms of the sporting regulation sides to give that added dynamic of realism, basically treating it like a real life series. So, of course, the sporting and penalty systems have to be put into place to reflect that. But you said about the progression, club sport being able to offer the top two in 992, GT4, and TCR to gain promotion into the next season of the 24-hour series esports championship 23 to 24. Also, then you've got the IVRA Endurance Series that provides another two GT3 entries in the form of promotion at the end of the season. But then also, the Endurance Series itself, which also has a P2 category. That's rather exciting as well. When you have P2s and GT3s together, it can cause a little bit more excitement for those sim racing fans out there, can't it?
It really can. I think of course, hopefully our prototype teams will have plenty of experience dealing with GTs. I think one of the big changes in that series is the omission of the GTE class, which personally I'm sad to see, because those cars are just so cool. They're I think that the fastest a GT car is going to be, but with real life racing moving on, I think in iRacing too, the GTE class reducing in popularity, we decided to let that be what it is and move on from it. But we still have the prototypes of the GT3s left, so yes, it can get a little feisty from time to time. And I mean, we saw that last season too, in various races. But I think even there we still have the split between GT3 and GT3 Pro, which means GTs will also be of various speeds. So the prototypes are going to have a big challenge in making sure that they don't get on our bad side in terms of race control, especially with the even longer races now. So the risk reward for making a late pass or leaving little margin is also going to have to change. So that's going to be really interesting to see how the prototype teams adapt to that new set of circumstances.
I mean, coming on to a recent article, big thank you to you and O'Leary, one of our team here at IVRA, for having a chat with co-founder Richard Bell. The biggest thing that I take from this particular article, is one particular paragraph here, Casper, is the fact that Richard said, "I'm ecstatic about the effort put in by the teams and managers to facilitate a positive racing environment both on and off track." And now, obviously, there's more effort. The penalty system has changed quite significantly. There's more of a possibility that the more mistakes you make, the more penalty points you get, the quicker you're going to be excluded from a round of the championship. Can you just explain to the folks at home how the penalty system has changed for 2022 and 2023 without going too overboard?
Yeah, I'll try and keep it simple. The big change is that instead of doing drive-throughs and stop and hold penalties that teams will have to do within 3 laps, lest they be disqualified automatically by iRacing, with IVRA we are now moving to a system that is similar to the 24-hour series system, whereby we have a penalty box in the pit lane, and teams will get a time penalty which they can serve at their leisure whenever they would like within a 90-minute window, which means that they can now combine it with a pit stop. And hopefully the goal there is that, well, we can do smaller penalties, so we can do 5-second, 10-second penalties, so we can be more exact in dealing with transgressions and being more fair. But it also means that teams will not be as stressed when they do receive a penalty, because nowadays they'll know that they've done something wrong, hopefully, and they'll suddenly get the penalty, and all of a sudden their race is upside down. They have to drive through pit lane. That's 20, 25 seconds, 30 seconds lost. now they can think about what this means for their strategy. They get maybe a 5-10 second penalty, and all they have to do is pull into the penalty box during a pit stop and work it into their strategy. Perhaps when we do have a safety car, and if this gets too complicated, then let me know.
That's all right.
When we now have a safety car and you have an outstanding penalty, instead of having to stop in your penalty box, you can drop to the back of the line and that's it, penalty gone. Of course, you still have to then work your way through the field, but you've done something wrong, so a little bit of disadvantage is okay. But hopefully what that will do, I guess, in relation to the positive racing environment that you mentioned, is less pressure on teams to act quickly, and hopefully more of a constructive dialogue, not only between teams themselves when an incident does happen, but also between teams and race control. And we can have a more calm discussion about an incident where there isn't the time pressure of trying to convince us in race control to rescind the penalty, but there's this longer window of time where we can have a calm discussion about our different viewpoints and see if we can work it out from there, instead of having this looming disqualification over a car's head.
That's actually quite good. I mean, how receptive have the teams been to this change? I mean, has it been sort of welcomed quite nicely, sort of like saying, look, we're not going to tell you to serve it in three laps. We're going to give you a bit more of a window, and if you want to discuss it with us, feel free to approach. How have they embraced it? Have they found it to be a little bit more welcoming, so to speak?
In general, it's been a positive reception. I think, as always with any changes, there's always change, as in humans, is scary. So esports is no different there. But some teams were wondering, how is it going to work with safety cars and things, and how do we communicate with race control? But on the whole, of course, the teams, especially those with experience in 24-hour series, they know how it works. So those have been exceptionally positive. But even the teams who only raced in IVRA before, they can see the benefits for sure.
That's really good to hear. I mean, like you say, most people don't like change, but they will eventually have to adapt and overcome it. I mean, and that could, as you say, with regards to if a safety car comes out, the car drops to the back of the field, the penalty's thereby rescinded. That will give us an opportunity to have some teams, if they do make a bit of a muck up, and it does happen with even the top teams. It doesn't matter whether it's IVRA, 24-hour series esports, any kind of endurance event on iRacing. It will hopefully provide us with some great, spectacular, close quarter action where there might be a little bit of paint rubbing. Hopefully, no turning each other around, folks. But that's something that will really add to the spectacle of IVRA. I think, particularly when it comes to the endurance series itself.
I agree. I think there, especially with the longer races, when we do get a safety car, hopefully, we went, I think, a full race without safety car last season. The race is a third longer this race, so who knows? Maybe we can do it again. There, especially, it's definitely a benefit, depending on how big your penalty is, to stay out, to maybe hope for a safety car, perhaps not lose a lap if you're about to go a lap down, and then fight your way back to the front with the safety car, because the safety car already adds more action because the field is all back together again. And then with some cars coming from the back, it's going to be more exciting, hopefully.
Well, hopefully, let's hope that the old adage of safety cars breeding safety cars does not happen too often this season. But that's really, really good to hear that there's been a very, very positive reception from all the teams. Of course, folks, those that are wanting to compete in all respective championships, sign-ups start tomorrow. So effectively on Saturday, you have your opportunity to get yourself registered for the respective series. So, Casper, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what happened last season briefly in terms of the respective championships. So first of all, we're going to go to Club Sports Series. So for those wondering for the calendar, we've got pre-qualifying at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park on the 24th of September, which is 2 hours. It's a 4.102 kilometer circuit. And then we go to the iconic Fuji International Speedway, the scene of where we saw Hunt versus Lauda in the 1976 Formula One World Championship. 700 kilometers. That's going to be on the 15th of October. Then we go to Interlagos on the 19th of November. Imola on the 7th of January 2023, Mid-Ohio for round 4 on the 25th of February. We're getting a bit of everything here. You know, we're getting a bit of continental Europe. We're getting the Far East. We then go to Barber Motorsports Park on April Fool's Day, 1st of April 2023, then back to Suzuka for the 6th and final round on the 29th of April. You know, we've got 3 classes. We've got the Cups, the Sports, and we've got the TCRs. You know, we had three ultra competitive championships. I mean, Fiercely Forward won the Cup class by 45 points ahead of Hugh Jass, and Team 11 rounding out the top 3 there. Hugh Jass, Team Heusingveld, and Heli Media rounded out the top 3 in sport, and Heusingveld took the title in TCR ahead of the 285 and the 287 of Full Send Racing. Just first of all, Casper, that melee of tracks, it's absolutely mouthwatering for anyone that wants to get into a three-tier championship.
I hope it is. From personal experience, having raced some of these tracks already in previous iterations of our series, I would certainly very much like to drive on this calendar. Absolutely. And with these classes of cars, it's some of the, of course, there's a couple Grand Prix tracks in there, but they're especially Mid-Ohio and Barber, they're the smaller tracks. There's going to be plenty of action, especially if we get a full grid of 55 cars. There's going to be no rest for the wicked in those races for sure.
Especially with the fact that all the races are 700 kilometers in length as well. That's going to be quite a few hours worth of racing action, probably the best part of between 4 to 6 hours, depending on safety car requirements or code 80s or whatever slowdowns might be required for drivers. But then we go to the IVRA GT Sprint Series powered by Heusingveld schedule. Pre-qualifying takes place also at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park a day after the Club Sport pre-qualification. And then it's we head to the Eifel region for the first round. It'll be Nürburgring, the GP circuit, on the 30th of October. Then Imola on the 27th of November for round 2. The Daytona International Speedway hosts round 3 on the 18th of December 2022 before we go to Belle Isle at the venue of the former Detroit Grand Prix circuit on the 8th of January. Suzuka hosts round 5. Round 6 will be heading to Monza. Road America round 7. So that will be the 19th of February for Suzuka, round 5. Round 6, 2nd of April, round 6. Round 7, Road America, the 16th of April, 2023. And then, of course, well, you couldn't have GTs without Mount Panorama at the end of the calendar. 7th of May, 2023, we head to New South Wales. And looking at the previous winners, I mean, T3 Motorsport by Maniti, Valorous Motorsport, Oblivion Racing, previous winners at Bathurst, Hugh Jass, Full Send, Fiercely Forward, Road America. Monza, it's a new one. Suzuka, we've had SRN, Heusingveld and Team 11. Impulse Racing, Rusty Spatulas, and World of Sim Racing at Belle Isle. Altitude Esports at Daytona. Heusingveld again pops up for Imola as well. But again, more Grand Prix tracks, an 8-round calendar, which basically, I think if memory serves me correctly here, Casper, that the GT Sprint Series by Heusingveld actually rounds out the complete season, because we've got like racing all the way through from late September through to early May. That's the best part of over 7 and a bit months of racing. I mean, what a calendar there.
It's it's going to be a lot of work on our side, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of racing, and that's true. Yeah, I think Road America and Bathurst for GT Sprint are going to be the final 2 races of I guess the 2022-23 IVRA season. I guess GT Sprint is the series where format-wise we've had the biggest change compared to last season, going from 2 to 1 longer race. But hopefully that means that there will be a bit less action in some of the early parts of the race. And of course, with the longer race, we're also now going to do in-race penalties, which means that drivers will be rewarded for their actions. Hopefully, not too much. But again, the tracks there. Personally speaking, the Daytona is always fun in GTs, big draft track. Same with Monza, but tracks like Road America and Imola, classic tracks racing through the forests.
I mean, you said about the fact that you're now going to one race per round as opposed to the previous format, which was two races. Obviously, was that in sort of conjunction with the organisation and also the teams? Was there feedback from the teams? So, like saying, well, we want to race for a little bit longer and have a bit more of a strategy. Was that something that was jointly decided?
It's in part, yes. The main conclusion after last season, where we did 2 times 6 rounds, was basically, oh, it's too much. We had a race every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks sometimes, and it's just a little bit too much. We did have the season break, so we had 2 separate seasons. So we decided, okay, we want to do a bit less races. Still not go down to 6 because that's we did that the first season, and people said, okay, we want a little bit more because it's only only 2 hours worth of racing on a weekend. So we ended up with 8. And then we said, okay, well, let's look at the format a little bit, because the main starting point was really there was a bit too much action going on with especially race 2 with the reverse grids. We did find that of course everyone is welcome in the GT Sprint series, and I would encourage the slower drivers to sign up. But with the reverse grid, we ended up with some slower cars at the front, and of course, everyone at the beginning says, "Okay, keep calm, just be safe, take a few laps to get past the slower cars, because eventually you're going to be in the right order anyway." Once the race starts, driver brain turned on, and there was some unfortunate incidents here and there. So we decided, okay, we want to do 1 race a weekend, but then we're back to, okay, then that's only 8 hours of racing total. Okay, well, what if we just bump up the race length a little bit? So that's how we ended up with the current race format. I think still, it's not just a straight 2-hour race. We're working with it on our start procedures some more, as we had some teething issues there last season, which means that the clock starts an hour and 55. We do a formation lap, and then we go racing. So it works out to be an hour and 52, depending on track length. Road America probably be an hour and 50. I guess not, because the pace lap there is on the back straight, isn't it? So that'll be a longer race.
Yeah.
But so that's sort of the thinking there, to end up with a different race format, and hopefully also a bit of a different challenge for the teams. Like last season, we saw strategy in the 1-hour race format with the pit stop window is going to be the only decision that you make there is, okay, do I pit at the start of at the end of the pit window? With the longer race, the do I take tires or not is going to be a bigger question. The pit window is longer, so there's more strategy there as well, overcut, undercut. So hopefully we'll see some different teams come to the fore as teams learn how to navigate this format a bit better.
Yeah, and looking back at last year, it was Team Heusingfeld in the number 78 car that took the title from RSR by the Esport by G Performance by just 36 points at the end of the season, which was absolutely crazy. And then a little bit further back, on 1,826 points, it was Mag Performance Sim Racing Team in the number 14. RSR Esport actually ended up with 2 cars in the top 5, the number 55 ending up 4th, and then N-Race Esports rounding out the top 5. But then we go to, I think, some people might call it the pièce de résistance when it comes to a top tier championship like the IVRA Endurance Series. So pre-qualifying will take place again. It will be at the place formerly known as Mosport. It will be the 1st of October 2022. So we'll have the LMP2 cars, GT3 Pro and GT3 in action. Then we go to the 1,000 miles of Road America, which will kickstart the season on the 29th of October. COTA will be round 2 on the 26th of November. Former winners there: T3 Motorsport by Maniti, Kairos Competition, and World of Sim Racing. Daytona means it's the first 3 rounds are stateside, folks. So it sounds like people might be thinking, hang on, is this the IVRA IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship? Not quite. But we head to Daytona on the 17th of December for the 12 hours of Daytona, which will be very interesting, especially if we start during the daytime. We end up in the night at some point here, Casper. That's on the 17th of December. We then have the 1500 kilometers of Monza for round 4, 18th of February 2023. 1500 kilometers of Motegi is round 5 on the 25th of March. And then the sixth and final round is the 12 hours of Fuji on the 22nd of April. Again, I mean, like, it's great because we have got 3 tracks in the US, well-known tracks. Then we got Monza, but then, the twin wing Motegi, a hidden gem. And then you got Fuji to finish off the season. I mean, that is going to be one hell of a track set that these teams are going to be challenged by, isn't it?
I think the 12 hours of Fuji is probably the race I'm most looking forward to. The World Endurance Championship race there is always so much fun. Sadly, it's not happened the last few years because of COVID, but to be going there with our own grid is going to be exciting. And like you say, Motegi, a bit of a hidden gem. It's well known to us now because we had 2 races there so far. The Endurance Series finale 2 years ago, and the Club Sport Series opener last season. Both races were fantastic. I think both races combined that it was 1,700 kilometers of racing. I think we had 3 safety cars. So the track lends itself to long green flag periods where strategy can play out, where teams can get into a rhythm and really start pushing. And it's a really fun track to drive, at least, the long straights. There's some flowing sectors. You've got big braking zones for passing those pesky GT3s as a prototype. Those last two tracks in Japan, they're I'm really looking forward to seeing those. And then I think you spotted the trend with the US tracks at the start. We did want to do a little a US subseason there, and luckily there's plenty of good tracks in the US to choose from. But and longer races as well in the Endurance Series. It's going to be 8-9 hours maybe, depending on safety cars. But and of course the 12 hours are 12 hours. So that should be great fun to watch too. I'm curious to see how teams are gonna approach that in terms of lineup compared to last season. How many teams we'll see sticking with 2, maybe some 3, maybe even 4 drivers, especially for the 12, might be an option.
Yeah, no, that's very much the case. But obviously, with a lot of the races, a lot of it, pretty much all of it, has been broadcasted on RaceSpot TV, which continues to be the case. So you'll be able to watch a lot of the action all the way through all 3 championships, right the way through from September to early May next year. I mean, Casper, I think sim racing fans are being spoilt by us here at IVRA, aren't they?
I don't like to speak too fondly about it or give myself too compliments, but as I always try to look at things also from just a sim racer's perspective. I did racing myself before I was crazy enough to start all of this. I would sign up for any of these series, to be honest. So.
Well, Casper, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for your time. I know you're a very, very busy man, and I'm looking forward to seeing how things pan out over the forthcoming 2022-2023 season. Thank you again.
Yeah, so am I. Thank you for having me.
Well, folks, that's it for the first episode of Insights from IVRA. A big thank you to Casper de Kort, one of our team here at IVRA, for his welcome time. Stay tuned for the next episode and tune in next time. Don't forget you can follow us on all the relevant social media platforms and tune into all the race action live on racespot.tv. Until next time, goodbye for now.